Oh, whoa. All right, this is my end of the year, top movies of the year, 2019 edition. Yes, this is my coveted one. I've been doing this probably think for 5-6 years now. Ever since there's been so many movies that you had to be like, damn, let me figure out which ones was the top movies, because really hasn't been like this before. You know, we're in a golden era of film where you can go to the movies pretty much every week. You know, out of the 52 weeks in the year, maybe 5 don't have a good movie. So that's a lot of movies. Never in my life have I been able to go to the movies like this before and enjoy a movie. You know, you do get a bad movie here and there. Movies are not as good as you think they're going to be, but for the most part, they're pretty good, you know. So let me jump right in. I did not take time to put an order to these. However, I do have some that fall like right outside the bubble. So, which is always the case. These are sort of in the order that I thought of them. So that may say something of what speaks to my heart. But maybe not. So I didn't really micro organize them. So the first one comes to my mind is Alita Battle Angel. I actually saw that movie twice. I loved the special effects. Her big eyes worked on me. I understood the character. Just didn't like the ending so much. But if they do a sequel and she goes to Mars and finds out the people that instrumented a lot of those things, it may pull it together a little bit. And this is one of the stories I think, you know, should part from the comic book and go straight into, you know, making sense of the story, because I don't know if the comic book makes 100% sense. In a larger scale, yeah, but in a micro dialogue, scene by scene, I don't know, because Alita kind of felt like it was could come apart at the end, even though it made my top 10 because I like it. Godzilla King of the Monsters. Hey, Godzilla's second movie was better than the first movie. It wasn't as good as Kong of Skull Island, which I just felt had a better story and had really better world building. But it didn't have to do too much because it's an isolated island. So with Godzilla King of the Monsters, you have to do everything. It didn't bring in the space aliens, like aliens are from some other place besides space, to control Gygaera, you know, the three-headed monster, like in the older movies. You know, Gygaera was a space Godzilla, so it was real cool, and they had spaceships that, you know, aliens that controlled them. So they left that element out. However, I do like the world building they put around this one. I actually bought the novelization. Have not got the chance to read it yet, but it's on my 1,000-book must-read list. The next one, Avengers Endgame. I think that's a no-brainer. My gripe was, of course, I saw all of the contrived scenes that they had, that they had put together with all the women fighting together. That was fine. It didn't take away from it. One thing I would have liked is to see the Hulk fight him, you know, and that wasn't a scene that really had to been written into the script. And I would have liked to have seen, damn, you know, the Hulk is the strongest Avenger. Put him against Thanos. So that was my downside. Other than that, beautiful end, and probably is the best end of any of these long arc trilogy stories, more than trilogies, you know. And I'll talk about this last Jedi Star Wars story too, because it didn't make my list, and probably the first one that didn't make my list, but it doesn't mean it's the worst Star Wars picture ever. All right, let me get through the list. Dr. Sleep. I'm gonna hurry up and mention this because I don't want to keep thinking about it, because it's controversial. It's like right at my bottom of the 10. But it is a good movie, and I liked it, so I'm going to go ahead and say I liked it. I liked seeing the white female villain from the Mission Impossible. She is just what I thought of as a unique villain, some white hippie chick that looks like a liberal, and she's actually sucking you out, And then, of course, I like the hero, the little black girl. She won me over, so there's a bunch of little black girls that won me over on my list. Next, Ma. This could easily be number one. F y'all that don't care, I don't care what you feel. Ma was a good picture. I'm going to see it again, but I want to wait till I forget it so it can be a little fresher in my mind. So that's that. What Men Want, Taraji P. Henson. Let me just say, go back to Ma. Ma beat out Crawl, and I had it sort of in categories. So I do like Crawl, the one with the alligators, because it had the classic horror feel, disgusting, slow pace, and then it built. But I just felt Ma was a little bit better. So Crawl should be probably 13 on my list, but I'm not going in order. What Men Want, that's messed up because it beat out Little. And Little had another good storyline to it, but What Men Want was better. Sorry, Regina Hall. Neither one of her movies made my top 10 of my mainstream list, but I'm gonna do my black list when I come back from where I'm going. So that's gonna be my second list that I'll do. But yeah, Little and Shaft didn't make my top 10. But What Men Want, I just felt it was a better story. Taraji is not a comedian, but she did comedy very well. Then another one that could easily be at my top of the list, next to Queen and Slim, this had one of the most wowing trailer scenes, and this was Black and Blue with Tyrese. It's not because of Tyrese, he didn't take away from it, but the story was good. I liked it, Black and Blue, she caught something on her body cam. It felt like Deep Cover. It felt like Ricochet. It felt like Judgment Night. All of these, other types. In a way, it felt like the end of Training Day, but it was real, and I just felt the realism of the whole thing. It, wasn't perfect, but no major flaws for me really to point out. You know what I'm saying? I'm good with it. This is a movie that they could have had in this blaxploitation era, maybe if they changed the ending of it. Okay, and then there's another obvious one, The Joker. Sheesh, I wouldn't have put this at the top of my list, but it could have been number 2, 3, or 4, easy. I liked what it represented. Forget Martin Scorsese and all these other people that hated on it. It was just as real as a real story. It was the taxi driver. I don't care what he said. It was a taxi driver, and it was a better version of the taxi driver. It was a more researched and realer version of the taxi. So even with this, the downside is he really never became the Joker. He's going to become the Joker origin story, which is fine for me. I enjoyed it. There was some things that I may have said in other blogs that I didn't like about it, but they don't really stand out to me right now. So they may not be that important, but they may be. So I don't know. Anyway, Ready or Not, that comes in at like 9, but this is not the order. So Ready or Not, first of all, it's disrespectful, but it's honest. You ever heard of the saying, you have a radio face? That's not for men or for women. It is true. Film benefits from pretty looking, cute faces. Mostly faces, because you can do a lot of close-up. Big booty don't really help you in film, although I got a story where I need a bunch of big booties because you can't talk and show the booty at the same time. So pretty face really wins. I'm not a big cleavage individual, but I can see how that could win because there's a lot of people that like cleavage. And I'm saying that because I think this girl was really pleasing on the eye. Not that I'm lusting for her or anything like that. I think she had some really cool expressions. You know, sort of like the girl that was in Tyler Perry's Boo, the little viral one. Wow. You know, there's a lot of pretty faces. What's the other girl that I like that's doing the one, Molly? She just got billing. She played in X-Men First Class. She played in Bridesmaid. And now she's in this movie with, I'm going to forget homegirl's name. Oh gosh, our top comedian, the new girl that's coming out. Dang, a brain fart. Anyway, she's in this new movie with the comedian girl, and they play friends, and they opening up a cologne. Dang, I'm gonna think of her name. From Girls Trip. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, she's got a pretty face, and I like her too. And I'm really rambling, but I think Ready or Not, it beat out Knives Out, and Knives Out was good and great. You know, Knives Out could have been on my list maybe 12 or 13, but Ready or Not had the ending. It had the story. It was beautiful. It went Kingsman at the ending, you know. I liked it. It had the feel of Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies, you know, and it was faster than Abraham Lincoln Zombie Killer. So it was cool. I have no problem. And Hollywood, I don't know if this is an original story, but Hollywood is struggling from original stories, and that's my whole opinion of this year in general, is that it sucked in the sense that it's not didn't have good stories, but I really had to think about the movies, and I was surprised there was so many that I liked because I didn't feel overwhelmed with movies this year. I think in 2018, I felt a little bit more overwhelmed, but this year it really wasn't, and maybe because it wasn't blockbuster heavy. Anyway, my last one to close out my top 10 is here. She finally made the list, and I can't think of her name. Dang. The Kitchen, and this is, and I can't remember. I'm having a brain fart. But anyway, forgive me for this. But I felt it was, you know, I liked it, you know. Not doing TV shows on this list, probably could. I don't even know how to find out a list of TV shows, so I would have to keep my list all year, and I haven't done that yet. Usually what I do is go on IMDb, or I'm an AM Stubbs member, and I go back and see all the movies that I saw, and then I write down the ones that I felt were the best from that. So with TV shows, I don't. But The Kitchen was cool, right? The two women in there, because I can't remember homegirl's name, were great, and it was gritty and had the feel of The Godfather of Harlem, and I'm like all over that. So that won for me just because it had that energy. It was real. It didn't Mickey Mouse. It wasn't overly feminist like The Widows. Widows didn't make it for me. That was last year's film with Viola Davis, right? It didn't really make it for me. So I'm not really feeling it. In my mind, I'm still thinking of homegirl's name, the new comedian. Sheesh. I can't. She deserves name mention. I might have to do a whole blog on her just to make up for not remembering her name. But anyway, The Kitchen closes it out. So now, last few minutes, I'm just going to deal with movies that really should have been in my top 10, but for some reason they weren't. And that is, first one, John Wick 3. Great movie, John Wick. Just nothing extra to, I mean, and that's not what we go for, but it's never hurts to have a good story. You know what I'm saying? Never hurts to give me something unexpected. And I just don't think his story or his villains do anything extra to the story. However, I will say I enjoyed it. So I'm ready for John Wick 4. You know, my son and wife really love it. And then another one is Hobbs and Shaw. Hobbs and Shaw, The Rock. I really need to kick a movie off, but I just feel that I want to spread the love around. So this is in my top 10 spiritually, right? Because I like Over the Top. I ain't hating on nothing about it. I am Black Superman. You think he Black Superman? The Rock had all his lines in it. He was The Rock. They even went over the top, with the helicopter and them him holding the tow truck at the other end and he being the strongest link in between them. That was an amazing scene. And then I love when went back to Hawaii and brought in his family from there. That was beautiful. Something about it didn't make it take it over the top. I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm getting tired. I doubt it, because I'm going to put it in my top 10. It's just that I needed to have love. This is why I don't want to overthink it, because Dr. Sleep was good, especially as a writer. I appreciate them coming back, to an old story from the 80s, I think it was, and making it relevant again. And it was cool, so sequels have a hard time, especially, period. But 25-year-old sequels, sheesh, that was amazing. And then my last one that I wanted to mention was Star Wars Last Jedi. I think it was a good film. I think it didn't have to be great, and I think the problem was it tried to be great. I think it put a lot of things in there, like my tread bikes from my Harlem Shake series. I say that to everybody. I love that chase scene. I'm going to go see the movie again just for that. But there was a lot of things in there that I wanted to see more of, like the snake. She talked to a snake underground, and that snake was really powerful. But they only showed it for that quick scene, and that was too good of a creation. It was like I call them tread bikes in my series, but they're tread speeders. You know what I'm saying? That was too good to not show more of. Damn it. What else? So they rushed the story. That's, to me, what I felt. There was elements in there that they could have taken more time with. There was things they skipped over. It was just a lot of goodness. And for me, it was the best of the Finn movies, John Boyega, Tiffany Haddish. That's my girl. That's who it is that I was talking about in the kitchen, and that was acting. So anyway, I remember Tiffany Haddish. Anyway, yeah, John Boyega, his movies weren't the best of the Star Wars movies for me, okay? And I just felt bad for him in that regard. But this was the best of the Finn Star Wars movies. Now, in the three trilogies, this was the weakest of the three trilogies. The first of the three that I like, we'll say with General Grievous and Count Dooku, that trilogy was the best. Then the one that started it off with Darth Vader was the second best, right? A New Hope, Return of the Jedi, Empire Strikes Back. That was the second best trilogy. And then this one comes in at the end. Now, the other movies, Rogue One and Solo, they're better than, some of the movies in the trilogy. So I don't know who they're going to do next. They could have done a Lando spin-off movie. That would have been cool. So I don't know what they're going to do. I'm happy that the series came to an end way over time. But, for Star Wars, it's worth going over time. But yeah, they could have done a little bit, I don't know where they're going to go. So I'm happy it's over. Maybe I'll do a whole blog on Star Wars, right? But of all the other trilogies that are out, or not trilogies, long stories, Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones. Lord of the Rings had a pretty good wrap-up. But Game of Thrones, that crapped out. Hunger Games, they split the end book to 2 books, and that was trash. The Hobbit, I don't know what they did with The Hobbit. That was trash. So Endgame was pretty good, and Star Wars struggled. That's it. All right, y'all. It was a good year of film. Not good. A good year, but not great. Okay. They need more original stories, and hope they continue to look for people like myself and other independent writers and creators that are outside of Hollywood, because we would bring a lot of energy and new, fresh ideas to Hollywood. All right, peace.